Wasn't really sure I was going to do this tonight because I've been feeling pretty crappy the last couple of days. I spent 24 hours almost in bed, so that'll tell you how we're starting today. Also, I guess we should get into this whole Warner Archive sale. So right now, Warner Archives is having a big sale, a big 4 for 44 sale, and normally that that's the thing to be happy about. That's a joyous thing if you live in the States, not here in Canada, because we can't get Warner Archive stuff. Um, but if you live in the U.S., then this time of year with the Warner Archive stuff coming up close to Christmas, that's pretty awesome. Except for one thing that kind of has me worried and just somewhat concerned. So I'm going to be showing some Warner Archive stuff. Hey there, Richard, and some Warner releases. All right. So I'm trying to get this done while I can actually type. Unfortunately, apparently, it respelled archives in a way that I don't even know. All right. So if you go to the One Archive store right now, which you can do, there's a huge sale going on, and looks like no, that's oldies.com. Why the heck does it bring me there? Because I'm not in the U.S. That's why. So 30% off sale, and that is pretty awesome. Except, hey there, Amir. Except for this right here, which I'm gonna have to lower my screen resolution like way down so you guys can see it, and hopefully you can. So that says all sales final. Hey there, Tracy. So all Warner Archive sales are final. Pretty normal, right? It's a sale. You know, sale items, clearance items. Once to clear things out, that's usually the way, like a lot of sale things are. Except, what if it's not? Hey there, Jason. What if all sales final means a bit more than we initially think it does? As you know, the Warner titles, the Warner library, um, that's an HBO thing. So, and over the last year or so, hey there, Robert. HBO Max has been really pushing it forward to like next year taking all the movies that are going to theaters and putting them on HBO Max at the same time, to making like kind of like fan exclusive things like uh, like the Zack Snyder film cut and all that exclusive to HBO Max, to taking to gutting the DC Universe streaming service, taking everything off of it except for the comics, and killing the DC Universe service like as a streaming service, pretty much like dead in the water. Uh, nothing is nothing is out of bounds for HBO Max. They're pushing this thing. So could uh could the Warner Archives line be the next? Hey there, Chris. Victim of HBO Max. See, we worried about Disney, and Disney bought Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and oh no, Disney was this big, conglomerate that could like, grab up a bunch of stuff and do their Disney Plus. Hey there, Scholar. And there's a little HBO thing just down in the corner that we weren't keeping our eye on, and all of a sudden, hey there, Flip. I'm concerned that I'm not going to be able to grab Warner Archive titles in the future. Are they rebranding them? Are they going to be rebranding? Are they going to be rebranding some of them? Is Warner Archive as a label is going? And if it is, will there be other companies, boutique labels that can actually like pick and choose, like we've seen with the MGM library and stuff like that? Either way, what it could mean, and we're all this is just guessing, um, is that some as happens when any label or or basically goes away, then titles can get taken and cherry picked and chosen. Like if they want to choose titles just for their HBO Max streaming service, if they want to like give some that they'll give out to other companies, um, it's like when you go to a different generation. No, no. See, no, no, I don't want to say uh, the HBO Max like Warner shutting down. I'm just nervous about the sale. All sales on the HBO on the TCM's website for HBO for Warner Brothers, Warner Archives are final right now, and that may mean nothing. That may just mean that they're just that those sales are final. How's Scaredy tonight? He's still taking his medication. Now, normally, what we do is we put the pill in this pocket, and then we'll put the wet food in there. He was so hungry tonight that we put the pill in the pocket, and then him turned around to get the wet food so that she could hide it in the wet food. And by the time she had come back with the wet food, he'd already eaten the pill. So far so good. We're keeping our eye on Scaredy and the other cats too, because when one gets, we have to be careful. Watch with the other cats as well. We've been giving them treats. We've been giving them some more SO like relate wet food to go along with the dry food, and it's pricier. But the cats are 16 years old, and we want to make sure that they can live a nice long life and a happy one. So we got a fright, and we're watching like very very cautiously to make sure. I'm checking the litter, like usually around twice a night just to be sure, any drops of blood or anything like that. His we ensure that he gets his medication twice a day. We make sure that the water, like all the like we have like extra water put around, because with the urinary tract infections, we want to make sure that he can get as much water as possible, so that his bladder is full, and he's actually not full, but that he's actually um, using the washroom, and there's no pain or blood. That's what the things that we watch for right now. So that's what we're doing at this time period. That's our big focus right now. So far so good. If there's any changes, we'll definitely we'll keep you guys updated, because everybody has been so amazing asking about Scaredy, who you rarely get to see in any of my videos. Though I should I wanted to tweet out a picture of Scaredy the other day, and then I was worried. Like I'm superstitious. I'm like, do I want to do that? Is that like will that jinx it? I know that's weird, but I'm weird. So right now we're just keeping an eye on him, and he's sleeping usually with his mom. So I am relegated to the other room, and I'm totally fine with that. Just to make sure he's okay. So that's the Scaredy update. You'll get one every day until we know everything is like 100% great. And thank you guys so much. And I do have to ask: has anybody else like partaken in the Warner sale, or has anybody else thought about what I've thought about? Did the all sales final thing? Do you always see that, or did that make you nervous? Because it made me nervous. And where I don't participate in the TCM Warner Archive sale. Hey there, Brian. Brian Sauer from the famous Just to This podcast and Pure Cinema, and now Just to This YouTube channel, which you guys all should be checking out. I'm like two behind, so I gotta catch up. And man, you have huge stacks of stuff in all your videos. So, Brian Sauer, I gotta ask, are you worried about Warner Archives at all? See, that's what I'm thinking, Jason. That's my issue. Here's the thing, and all of us were like, Disney bad, Disney evil, Disney's going to take away stuff and just put it on Disney Plus. Disney hasn't done that. but HBO Max has, and they've been ruthless. Uh, I got to be honest. I've been pretty good with what Disney's done so far with their Disney Plus service. Like you still can get Blu-rays and DVDs. There's still a Disney Movie Club. Uh, they gutted uh, they gutted DC Online. Didn't even give it a chance. They just like grabbed things like hand over fist to the HBO Max, and they killed DC Online before it even had a chance to get into any other country besides the U.S. as a streaming service. It was a great idea. Like, I mean, they had like all the DC stuff animated, the live action stuff, the TV shows over the years. They had comics attached to it. So if you're a comic fan too, I know Chris, you're a comic fan. Um, that was like something that was unique, was very different from any other streaming service that was out there. You'd be watching an episode of Swamp Thing, and then you at the end of the episode you get like a comic book recommendation, and you could actually go read that comic because you had DC Online, DC Universe Online. But yeah, HBO killed it. They just took slowly they took the big movies off first and left a couple things on, a couple of TV shows, and then they started taking TV shows off like Stargirl and Swamp Thing, which they canceled. Uh, and now Warner Archives all sales final. So if you're wondering, like, is that really such a big deal? Is it as big as Disney or something like that? Or Warner Archives that? Is there really that many things? See, Warner Archives isn't just like older films, which I do love, um, but there's like films from all generations. There's TV shows that you're probably not aware are actually Warner Archives releases. You picked up Riverdale recently. Which I'm a fan of. That would be a Warner release. So it's not just old shows; it's newer stuff as well. And Looker exactly. And I don't have Looker yet, and that really blows. Like Looker is Michael Crichton, by the way, guys. If you've never seen it, it's a really really good thriller that I desperately want. Going to the archive tomorrow, doing curbside pickup. Well, say hi for me. I know that uh, Jamie, who was on here the other day, actually reached out to the head of Vinegar Syndrome, reached out to Joe and actually made him aware that I existed. So that's always a good thing. Um, I was kind of blown away that he did that, and it definitely meant a lot to me. So there's some really good guys out there, and in this industry that actually that don't look that yeah the what's the word I want to say? I'm just blown away that don't just look down that are here and and acknowledge. That's amazing. A lot of animation. Every Hanna-Barbera show that you're thinking about is a Warner Archive release. From Scooby-Doo to Pinky and the Brain to Thunder the Barbarian to Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, right on up to the Flintstones and Top Cat or Johnny Quest. Every single one of those is a Warner Archives release now. Most of those Warner releases, like you're seeing right now, you're seeing like a few Warner like best stuff sets coming out at Walmart. I don't have either one of the Tex Avery sets, and I'm scared now, Brian, that I'm not going to be able to get them because this is starting to happen at a time I can't afford to get anything. It's just too close to Christmas. Um, so I got my Warner Archives releases here, which are very few, but I got some more other Warner stuff just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that we could be losing. Because here's the thing: anytime, so like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, anytime a label goes, anytime that a label goes, there's always movies that fall in between the cracks, movies that don't make it to the next iteration. And whether it's a label or a format, VHS had the most widespread of, like you can imagine. And trust me, there's stuff that still has not made it over from VHS. There are still things that probably won't make it over from Twilight Time to other companies. So there's always things that are going to get lost along the way. Things that people that they're going to grab certain things first, and there's other things that people are going to think maybe that's not as profitable for us, or maybe we can't make a deal to get these. If Warner if HBO lets them make deals for any of these films, I would love to see like Night School come out from Midinger Syndrome. But again, that's a whole other story. So let's look at the stuff that I got here in Warner Archives and talk about this. You guys are super quiet tonight. I know I did a bit of a late one, but that's because I worked today and I rested for a nice bit because I am sick right now. But I knew this was one that I had to make. So this will give you an idea of some of the Warner Archives releases, and also let you know what a pitiful amount of Warner Archives I have in my collection. Kind of embarrassed about it. Um, I got a few Warner like box sets and stuff like that too. The pre-archive. So the only Blu-ray that I have got at this point from Warner Archives at all, I've only got one Warner Archive Blu-ray in my collection, and that's because HMV was closing up, and I really really like this movie, and I found it there, and that is The Hunger with David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve, and Susan Sarandon. This is a very stylistic vampire film, one that I adore. There's actually a commentary on it, so unlike some of them, you get a comment with Susan Sarandon and late director Tony Scott on here as well. Well, we're worried 4K that Warner Archives could go away. That's the concern tonight. Now, it'd be great, even if it's just something as like as simple as changing a label, like restructuring the label, maybe calling it TCM like archives or something like that. Still, we still have the thing where movies could get lost along the way that may not get taken over for restructure as well. Um, and there's like films that you wouldn't think of, like little films that I'm sure would get lost. And that is Larry Cohen's Return to Salem's Lot. Like a lot of people don't like this film. I actually thought it was fun. It was like, it's definitely not Salem's Lot. It's more of a comedic take on the whole thing. And there's not like many other movies where you're going to get a director Samuel Fuller playing a vampire hunter. So be like be glad and get this one. I do recommend this one. And I actually do like the really kind of slick looking Warner Archives cases that they have, like discs. Most of these here were ones that my we have last year. All these come at a sale on Warner Archives, and we really probably should have got more at the time. But I just said I'll get a couple, which was the Salem's Lot and a couple others, and I let my better half choose the other ones because she likes a lot of the cheesier stuff. So she picked up like things like the Green Slime, which has a great song by the way. I love this cover too. And she got Cleopatra Gold and Cleopatra Jones to the Casino Gold. I'll leave mine to last. And some that actually kind of go together. The Wild Wild Planet. Don't you just love these cases, like these covers? Like these poster, the poster art is amazing on these things. The Snow Devils. It's almost like kind of like a pulp novel type of artwork that you're seeing on these. Hitting the Flying Leatherneck West Mystery of the Wax Museum, The Reflections of Golden Eye. Oh man. As I mentioned to my better half, said we got to get some Warner Archives, and she said we can't. But Atlantis, The Lost Continent, so we grabbed that one too. This, by the way, is from last year. Now we didn't get any from this though. Captain Sinbad, because we can't get them from there. It's a U.S. sale. Hey there, Trini. Are you nervous about Warner? We are nervous about Warner. And two of my favorites: Doc Savage, The Man of Bronze. I'm a huge fan of the pulp novels, Doc Savage. They're really twisted if you think about it. I'm not sure if anybody here's like ever read any of the pulp novels from Doc Savage, but when I was a kid, they used to have them at my local Shoppers Drug Mart with hardcovers. And so pretty much what he'd do was like he'd fight these bad guys. He had like a group of like characters like Monk and people like that would work with him. So rather than like he wouldn't kill the bad guys, instead he would perform brain surgery that would he would kind of do a lobotomy so that they wouldn't be evil anymore. He's the good guy. But yeah, Doc Savage, he did that. And last but not least of my Warner Archive releases, I told you I didn't have very many, is Night School. And I'm really, really glad I got this one. Night School is one of my favorite slasher films. The lovely Rachel Ward is in this. Actually, it's a good cast in this one here. We got Leonard Mann, Drew Snyder's in this one as well. Uh, Directed by the guy that directed Casino Royale, the early Casino Royale, Kenneth Hughes. And I think this was the first thing Rachel Ward did, like actually on screen, like a big screen role anyway. But you see, Warner Archives doesn't end there because all the Warner releases pretty much became like Warner Archives down the road. So if you were like a fan of the later Charlie Chan films, the ones with Sidney Tolier, then like this here, see this Chan box set. I think this one has Tolier, mostly Tolier, and maybe Roland Winter. So this has Docks of New Orleans, Shanghai Chest, The Golden Eye, and Shadows over Chinatown. Yeah, see, all of these are Warner releases. So unless somebody really wants to go out there and grab some late Sidney Toyer, Charlie Chan stuff, that's one of the things that could possibly get lost along the way. Relegated to HBO Max and maybe some showings on TCM. And speaking of TCM, well, they got a bunch of Warner Archive stuff, of course, don't they? There's Garbo. This is a documentary on Greta Garbo, narrated by Julie Christie, and it is fantastic, by the way. Oh yeah, for the longest time, Warlock, like I think The Rock was was like one of the guys that he had. The people said he's going to be doing he's going to be doing it. The Garbo Silent Collection. This also is a Warner release. So just look at your collection and see the stuff that has Warner on it, and realize that some of that stuff. Oh, the sale isn't available in Canada, Dave. Unfortunately, Warner Archives sale is only in the United States. It's 444 and it's only in the US. There was a sale on oldies.com this week, apparently, a Cyber Week sale, which ends tonight. So if anybody in Canada that's looking to get some Warner Archives releases, there's actually a pretty good sale on oldies.com right now. That's the place that you can find Warner Archives here because you're not going to find them unless you get them from a seller on Amazon. I wish I had a lot of the DC anime films. I actually talking to that with my better half today, actually, Chris. That I wanted to get more. That I'm falling in love with comics again right now, where I've been like really stressed out recently. So I'm finding I'm going back. I'm like watching a movie, then I'm reading some comics. And flipping doc. Yeah, honestly, because the way the character is, it could like Becky Lynch. Like think about it, Becky Lynch. Uh, so yeah, I guess I could see that. Um, but I'm not sure because you got to still deal with the fact that I don't have any Wild East releases at all. I don't think. Another company that I don't like that I don't have anything of. I don't know. There's like a whole like bunch of them. Deep discount carries Warner Archives titles. Do they ship to Canada? There is a deep discount. There's a Canada deep discount. I think I'm pretty sure. I think Vanessa's not here tonight, but I'm pretty sure that Vanessa that she's gotten some stuff from them. Damien's right. V the TV series and V the mini series and V the Final Battle, of course, are all Warner Archives releases. The Lon Chaney collection, and it has the classic London After Midnight. It's really only like done in like yeah, deep discount does ship to Canada. And the Lauren Hardy collection right here is also another Warner Archives release. But maybe like silent films are not. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you're thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to miss much on silent films. I'm not a big Charlie Chan fan, but maybe John Wayne because all these John Wayne films here from Hackney Uprising, Reunion in France, Without Reservations, Tycoon, Jim McLean, Tumble Along the Way are all Warner titles. As are these. The Searchers, They Were Expendable, Three Godfathers, Fort Apache, She Wore Yellow Ribbon, The Wings of Eagles, The Long Voyage Home. All Warner releases that have gone the way of the Warner Archive. And if you were recently doing Noirvember, then on 9 chances out of 10, a great amount of the noir films that you probably watched were probably Warner releases as well. Everything from like the one what I consider the greatest noir film of all time, Out of the Past, to The Asphalt Jungle, The Setup, Gun Crazy, Murder My Sweet. This used to be like a box, a Warner box set. Now it's a Warner Archive set. To the Film Noir Classics Volume 2, which had like the narrow margin. You know, that's one of my favorites. Clash by Night, Dillinger, Born to Kill, one of my favorite, actually my favorite Lawrence Tierney film, and Crossfire. Now these came out as Blu-ray releases on Warner Archive sets, as on Warner Archives. Like they were out as DVD sets, and then they put them out as Blu-ray release. So if you wanted the Blu-ray release of these, that every one of these were released on Blu-ray under the Warner Archives label. There were a lot of these. The Border Incident, His Kind of Woman, another Robert Mitchum one. Lady in the Lake, Robert Montgomery's great in that. On Dangerous Ground, I like that one too. The Racket, and of course the documentary film noir Bringing Darkness to Light, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen on TCM if you don't own it. And along with noirs were the greatest gangster films ever made, and those came from Warner. Everything from Each Down I Die, City for Conquest, San Quentin, G-Men, Bullets on or Ballots. Heather Kubrick, I'm nervous about Warner Archives. That's what's going on tonight. A Slight Case of Murder. Amazing Dr. Clitoris, Invisible Stripes, Kid Galahad, Larceny Incorporated, The Little Giant, the Public Enemies documentary, and musicals. Things like Fair Weather, Ziegfeld Follies, Till the Clouds Roll By, Three Little Words, and Summer Stock, some of the great Warner Archives musicals. And that's, just a small section of what's available in Warner Archives releases. Like somebody mentioned earlier, if you've gotten any of these, they've probably been Warner Archives releases. Only Warner Archives release you need is Wolfen. See, but for me, Jason, there's a few. Like, there's Satanic Rites of Dracula, Dracula 8072, Horror Dracula. All three of those are Warner Archives releases as well. And I'm a huge Hammer fan. Porky Pig 101, again, another, which is another one I need. Crap, is another Warner Archives release. So I'm nervous. When I saw that final sale listing on the Warner Archive sale, I got extremely nervous. And I panicked a bit. And I'm like, I got to look at all the Warner Archive stuff that I don't have. Forbidden Hollywood sets, those pre-code cinema sets. God, all of those are Warner Archives releases. I just realized I didn't bring them down here because I'm rewatching them. And I do that like a lot. I watch and I don't even have close to all of them. The Falcon sets. See, I won't do it, Warlock. And I know you're the same way. They're pushing the HBO Max like crazy. And I can honestly say right now, if this was to happen, like if Warner Archive, like let's say they paired them off or they stopped doing Warner Archive altogether, then I can tell you one thing that I will be 110% sure of. I don't care if HBO Max comes here tomorrow. No, that's one streaming service that I can say no to right away. I don't think so, Robert, because the boutique labels are still going to be are still prevalent, and they're still doing a lot of work here. Um, so what can happen is that like what'll happen, Robert, if it goes, is a lot of this stuff will be divvied up, but to by other companies. But like I said, like earlier, not everything. Things will get lost. Things won't get taken. Things won't get bought. Things will get bought in packs. Some things will get lost along the way. That's the way it happens. See, streaming is convenient and it's fun for certain things, but for anybody that really loves films, like streaming is not going to be something that's going to be like advisable in the long term. See, as long as the boutique labels are selling the way that they are now, and they are selling extremely well. Just look at the rise in the boutique labels in the last 5 years in places like Vinegar Syndrome in Severin. These were smaller labels. Um, the thing is that right now we'll see them like taking some stuff, but they can't take everything. Like everything's not going to fit their brand. We've That's why we've seen like companies like Vinegar Syndrome, for instance, like broadening their base of what they do. Initially, when Vinegar Syndrome came out, as you guys know, what they did wasn't it wasn't what they do now. You Nobody in the first year of Vinegar Syndrome's like releasing would ever have thought like Rad or Beastmaster or Putney Swoop would ever be a Vinegar Syndrome title. People would have thought Putney Swoop would have been like a Criterion title. Um, but new releases like Wonder Woman 84 will it get a physical release? I think it will get a physical release, but I think it'll be we're looking maybe a more pared down physical release, which is a shame because I've gotten all the DC like live action like the DCU films. I've got every one of them on 4K. Uh, we actually bought like this box set that had like four of them on there, and then we had like some others as well. Of course, we bought like everybody else. We bought the Nolan Batman films, although they're not my favorites. We bought the Nolan Batman films on 4K. And I think with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, we're going to see more of a push towards 4K releases than we have in the past. When PS4 didn't put a 4K player in their system and they actually own Blu-rays, uh, then you got like, people got a bit more nervous. But with the PS5 and Xbox Series X disc based releases selling extremely well, and at this point definitely outselling the digital releases. Then and both of them have 4K players in them. Then you have to think that just like with the PS3, it's a time where we're going to see adapters finally coming in that may not have adapted to with 4K UHC discs before. So this is around the time like you've never got 4K before. Now's the time. It's going to get more prevalent. I'm missing all your conversations here, guys. And I do apologize. That's why Katrina's ran and a third man. Yeah, because they're opening Studio Canal, right? Disney and Warner hurting for money and really want to push people to streaming. Well, here's the thing. Hopefully next year is going to be a better year than this year. But Disney tried with Mulan to push people more towards the streaming. To put it mildly, not exactly a success. However, Warner Brothers does have some films that people are going to be like kind of aching to see. Movies like Wonder Woman 84, for instance, are going to be ones that people are going to want to see. and they're not going to want to wait to see a physical release of it. They're going to want to see it when it's out in the theater, and if they're nervous about going to the theater, and I don't know, I completely understand that. Then they're going to look towards some things like HBO Max. Milan and Milan 2 are both better than the live action version of Milan, which I still have not gotten through all of yet. But there's certain things I liked about it, and there's certain things I was like, oh, yeah, no. Oh, they will never go after the boutiques. Like that's the thing, Dave. Like, don't think the boutiques are this like are this source of revenue for like these companies right now. Uh, See, I think the opposite. I don't think they're going to cut off the physical. I think they'd cut off the physical Warlock in their own. I think like the Warner Archives, their own stuff like that. Yes, but one solid source of revenue that they have right now, because a lot of the big studios are completely out of touch with how to market things when it comes to physical releases. Are the companies like the Vinegar Syndromes? Are the Scream Factories? Are the BFIs? Are the Arrow Videos? Are the Seven Films releases? And see, that is where they look, because if they can get out of doing this and pushing their streaming service, then they can take the, then they can take the money, the extra money that they make from licensing off these films to other companies. And there's no way in hell that they're going to say, let's not take this money. Let's just hope that everybody comes in and goes onto our streaming service. Because the one thing you have to understand is like streaming service is the long man's game. So no company is going to be making money on a streaming services in the next 10 years. Uh, Netflix doesn't make money. Netflix consistently in the red, and they have to be to keep doing what they're doing, and to keep like making bigger deals and bigger deals. Uh, Not all these services are gonna last. There's way too many streaming services right now, and eventually, a lot of them are gonna tumble under. That's kind of just the way it is. Kind of like, remember when satellite came around, and there were satellite channels for everything. Like you had a drive-in satellite channel, you had a Scream, like a horror satellite channel. Uh, and do you know where they are now? They're gone, and they were rebranded to make more mainstream channels, like GQ channels and stuff like that, like more like name brand channels. There was a slow rebranding of Scream to I can't remember what it was called afterwards, but then there's a bunch of them until it literally wasn't Scream Factory anymore. Um, when these titles aren't like a small part of the market anymore, they've become a huge part of the market. But I'll be honest with you, I completely disagree in the fact that they put a stranglehold on on it to get streaming, like going, because we've seen how it works. It doesn't. It doesn't work. It's limited time deals for different places and different companies, and the rights are split up. The quickest and easiest way for them still to make money is for them to farm it out to someone else, and for them to deal with it. Sure, Warner could keep pressing Night School, or Warner could make a deal with Scream Factory, for instance. It seems like a Scream Factory type of title, right? Uh, to and make a bunch of money, probably with Night School and a few other titles thrown in there that they want, like that they know aren't going to make it. Because like this is not Night School is not what HBO Max is going to be looking for. A lot of these titles that I got here, these aren't going to be what HBO Max is going to be looking for. These are first round, like when you're looking at like seeing them look towards like farming films out, right here, Night School. Right, it's a slasher film. It's not. It's This is not the HBO Max brand. This is a farm out title. The Hunger, maybe more of a chance. depending on like if Doc Savage ever gets the movie or not, maybe. But is it easier for them to like maybe take Doc Savage and farm it out with a 3 to 4 year deal for another label and have them like do like a Doc Savage 4K? Uh, then definitely 100%. David Bowie is a big name, but David Bowie is a big name like for his music. Um, and although I love David Bowie in films, I will be the first person to tell you that David Bowie is not primarily known for his movies, nor would he be the thing that pushes this along. It's a vampire film. It's very stylistic. It's a Tony Scott film. It's David Bowie's fantastic in it. I wouldn't consider it a David Bowie film though. Mr. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, also David Bowie film, but let's just say that wasn't something that flew off the shelves either. Um, so David Bowie doesn't have the name, although he has the name recognition. If you were going to put like a set of a music collection LPs of David Bowie, then yes, David Bowie's got a perfect name for that. However, if you are looking for a name for out of this out of these titles here, then you're going to look for the actors, people that people are gonna look towards, are gonna try to buy. Now, people would buy The Hunger for well, Tony Scott's passed away, but like for directors, for genres, people looking at genres, they're looking for slasher films, looking for vampire films. Then it's a blanket market that they'll go with there. Exactly. See, and the thing is, if they farm it out, if they sell it to other companies, Warlock, if they take Green Slime, okay, and give it to I don't know BFI, Seven Films, whatever, they don't have to do anything. They take the money for Green Slime. The other company does, well, if they want to, a remaster of it. That company goes in, gets all the features done, and like make no mistake, whenever these companies like whenever Vinegar Syndrome or Severin or BFI or or like Arrow or any of those companies do deals with major studios, these are a lot of reasons that those are limited releases. Are those are limited time deals, and that's uh, so when people say the late Nick Redman, um, when he was asked, he said, "Why do you make your movies 3,000 copies? Isn't it like really kind of artificial that you're making like these limited these limited editions? Isn't that just trying to just like to to like actually kind of artificially like trick the market and make them think that that's limited releases?" And Nick Redman said at the time, he said, "Everything that like people aren't aware of it, but every single movie that they see on that shelf, whether it's in a store or it's coming from Twilight Time, it's limited. Everything is limited. Nothing is like unless it's a really really big movie, it's going to be out there forever. Nothing's going to be, nothing's there forever." Is there something that we consider a David Bowie film? Labyrinth. Labyrinth, I would consider a David Bowie film. And Man Failed Earth, actually. When I say it with great respect to David Bowie. Uh, like I'm just that much of a fan of his music, but like when he's in something, trust me, David Bowie stands out. It's just like I'm talking about like the casual viewer. Unfortunately, that's yeah, that can be frustrating. So there we go. What do you guys think? It's an interesting time because right now I got the two. You got both series. You have both seasons. It's actually a really good show. So I did like the TV series. Very different though, but same things. Very stylistic and erotic and that type of thing. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, 2020 had some of the biggest box sets and some biggest releases and announcements that it came from from any year. right? So obviously, the physical media, the boutique label stuff, is still that's still selling and still selling well to the point where they can make without concern they can put out a $200 or $300 Ingmar Bergman or Fellini set and not have to worry about selling. And inversely, they can put out an Al Adamson, Andy Milligan, or Black Emmanuel set and know that they're safe, that they are going to make their money back. Oh yeah, Disney's definitely gonna ask for big bucks. That's one of the things we gotta watch out for. The thing is that that's why let's like in all putting like cards on the table and being completely honest, like let's be honest here. That's why a lot of the boutique labels initially started with lower branded films, with films like an Andy Milligan film, for instance, or maybe something that wasn't as well known, or something that you may have seen at your local video store. It banks on the nostalgia factor, which is fantastic for people like me and people like here on the channel. But also, it's cheaper to get. It's cheaper to go out and buy something like Jack Frost, for instance, than it would be some of the bigger, more prestige titles. So we're coming to a point where it's newer titles and more prestige titles that that could actually suffer a bit more because not every like not all the studios can go out there, like not all the companies, the labels can go and grab like the physical, they can't grab a lot of the bigger name titles, and they got to slowly get them within kind of basically what they do is they do like when acquisitions are done for a company, they don't go and usually most of the time they're not getting the acquisition rights to one film. They're getting acquisition rights to a blanket amount of films. And what they'll do is they'll get offered certain ones, and there'll be certain ones that they might want more than others. So let's just say they go and they say, we'll stick with, hey, we want Night School. Thanks. And they say, okay, you want Night School, that's fantastic. But we'll give you Night School, but you also have to get uh, the Snow Devils, Atlantis, the Lost Continent, and Captain Sinbad, because we're going to do it as a package deal and a bunch of others. That's uh that's the way that usually acquisitions work. On the off chance that it's one like it's a rare title that's owned by one person, they'll go towards that. Like say something like Rad, where they got like a limited time deal. But when they're working with bigger companies like MGM or Warner, Universal, places like that, then for that, then it's a bunch of titles that are done. You guys know this anyway. I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know. But that's the way that the acquisition game works. It's never one title. It's always like 20, 30 titles. I don't actually. I think that's stuff that you don't worry about. You don't worry about shockwaves or SUD. You don't worry about basket case. You don't worry about like those because we're talking about lower range stuff. Uh, you worry about the bigger. You worry about some of the bigger, some of the in between stuff. Actually, Kubrick, you probably worry about some of the titles you might actually really like because they may be high up enough that either people are going to be asking too much for them, or companies are going to look towards them and they're going to say, yeah, we're not going to be able to afford that one. Um, so when you're looking at the lower range of the scale, stuff like the Frank Henlotters and stuff like that, I think we're safe with those. I think boutique labels can do that. They're going to get those. And then when you get your big stuff like your Kubricks and your Christopher Nolans, they're safe. Those are definitely going to 4K, right? So those can get like the 4K, but it's kind of them those yeah, exactly, the bitter tears of Petra, stuff like that. Tokyo Story, Uzu, like it's around the mid tier stuff that you got to worry that could kind of fall through the cracks. So on the lower end of the spectrum, things looked, then there it's lower stuff. Your Crow sequels, for instance, um, are you got a lot better chance of saving those than you do the Crow, which they'll probably get a 4K release anyway. Um, exactly, those are films that you love, and like there's a lot of films in the mid tier range that are films that I love as well. So that's what makes me nervous. And there's films that just aren't going to fit into the metrics of like certain companies. Now we're lucky in the way that Arrow, for instance, and Indicator have a wide range that they do. Everything from like Crime Wave coming from Sam Raimi to like Hammer Films to Norman J. Warren to just to William Castle, like a whole bunch of stuff. Exactly, Warlock. Whatever happens, there's still an audience for the content. The audience changes. And content is king, like you said, Warlock. Content is king. Aaron Criterion, what? Aaron Criterion for you right now, but it's changing. Uh, the companies are changing, and what they do and what these do, and their metrics are changing. Like I know you like Aaron Criterion, but I'm willing to bet there's a couple movies that are on Vinegar Syndrome label, for instance, you that you would like. Things like Patty Hearst, which is a Paul Schrader film. Putney Swoop is another one that would be on your radar from like the stuff that you tell me that you like. Uh, so it's changing, and as things change, companies change. What companies have access to, like Warlock mentioned there earlier, changes, and due to that, metrics change. So it's ever evolving, and I thought that was a nice topic for us to talk about tonight. Hopefully, you guys agree, and you haven't found me rambling on too boring. But I want to give you guys the floor and talk for a couple minutes. I think Vinegar Syndrome is in a good position now to expand more, even more into newer and self-produced stuff. You can see it happening in a year or two. Warlock, I agree with you 100% on that. Criterion starting to recognize more African American and African filmmakers, adding more to the catalog. It's about time, actually. I'm actually glad about that. So is Kino Lorber, actually. I've noticed that as well. And of course, my better half is from Morocco, so that's a big deal for us. When Martin Scorsese put out the his first like world cinema project, and it had the Moroccan film Trances on it, that was a very big and emotional moment for my better half. And needless to say, we bought it. The thing we're going to see the fallout from the next couple of years is the streaming wars. We're just starting to see right now the streaming wars come about, and you know, the first company is that's has sunk already. Quibi sunk. Um, Quibi had probably the the most bad timing of any streaming service available. Exactly. Yeah, it does. And actually, I don't know if I got that one because I got Trances, Dry Summer, and Revenge because we bought them from BFI, and BFI split them into two box sets. Criterion titles. Kubrick, go away, man. Like keep recommend them because Kubrick here, by the way, is really into Criterion stuff. For me, I'm going to give you some recommendations right now. I love Picnic and Hanging Rock. Blowout's a great release. Seconds is incredible. A Face in the Crowd. I don't have that one, but I do recommend that one. Hey there, Damien. A big fan of Scanners, Purple Noon, Night to Remember. I actually really love. The Furies with Barbara Stanwyck. Again, another fantastic little film. Night of the Hunter. Everybody needs to own that one. Class Touriste is actually really good. And I probably butchered the name. Ministry of Fear. Just so many great releases. Oh, and of course the box sets like the Zadichi box set or the Ingmar Bergman box set, or if you're a Godzilla fan, the Godzilla box set. 8.5 is a great release. Or get the Fellini set and get 8.5 anyway. And of course, the Varda set. I do recommend getting the Varda set. That's what I want to get. Uh, Varda will challenge you. Bill Lustig has a huge advantage, and he owns every movie he puts out. That is really, really good. Shot Quarter is a great release. Samuel Fuller, fantastic. Um, that's the thing I love about and I got to give credit to Bill Lustig for people say, well, they put out the same thing over and over again, but Lustig has gone full into 4K, and from everything that I've heard and everything that I've read, like Blue Underground are putting out some of the great 4K releases, like just amazing 4K releases of films you never thought would get a 4K release. Films like Vigilante with Robert Forster, Daughters of Darkness, House by the Cemetery, New York Ripper. What I think of Wes Anderson, I got a lot of Wes Anderson films there, but I thought that would be an obvious one, so I didn't say it. Because everybody when they start collecting Criterion usually starts to get a few Wes Anderson films. I think my first one was probably Royal Tenenbaums, then was Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I pretty much I have most of them, Bottle Rocket, all those, uh, because when you start buying Criterion, like there's certain titles you look into, and that's Wes Anderson stuff. When you start buying Arrow Video, there's certain titles you look into. A lot of the Giallo stuff, for instance, like you'll see a lot of that being looked into. When you start buying Vinegar Syndrome, then there's titles that you just initially go for first, and a lot of those times now that's the box sets. So there's always some neat stuff to look into depending on company. There's always somebody getting into a company or a genre for the very first time, and that is really fun to see people do. Watch Make Flicks this year. I will keep an eye on them because I've heard like he said some good stuff about them. Your very first Criterion Blu-ray was Seven Samurai. I mean, my first Criterion actually was A Night to Remember because I'm a huge fan. It's the only Titanic movie that I really like, I think. So, Synapse, Severin does incredible stuff. Synapse just recently put a Massacre at Central High. I don't have it. I love to own that movie. It's an amazing film. Thank you. Thank you. It's true. Like everybody's starting to get into it. Um, there's always something that I like. Even me. There's movies, companies, and titles like Flip just mentioned Wild East. I don't have Wild East title in my collection, and that's a shame. Like I would have actually have to go in online and look to find out exactly what's there and what's available, because there are companies and like Cauldron Films, another company that came in recently that I know very little about. Like I know the titles, but I don't own one of them. Same with Imprint. Imprint is just too expensive for me to get. But I would kill to have imprint titles in my collection. Is it in Manhattan? Wow. Upper East Side. I guess it makes sense in Wild East. But yeah, there's definitely so many that are on my radar right now for future endeavors. Hopefully, if I win the lotto, then you'll see me like. Then I'll get to do unboxings. Then we'll do unboxings on here. It's gonna be Christmas before my next unboxing. It's well, it is It's the close to Christmas time, so it is hard for everybody right now. As we get closer, everybody's like Breathless. Definitely check out Breathless. That is one of my favorites. Actually, check the remake too. I normally don't talk about remakes, but Richard Gere's Breathless, not bad. You guys are getting very, very fancy here tonight. It's like the Criterion label thing. We started talking Warner Archives and we got into Criterion. All right, guys. So, it's at Vincent's already expanding with the new French line. That's when it comes to the definitely third party labels. I'm interested in that. I really want that film. It's almost time there, right? Kubrick, it definitely is. The Wim Gruffy box that looks amazing too. Hopefully after Christmas, maybe for my birthday. So, unlike some channels, I don't always get to unbox the new stuff right away, so I do apologize for that. But I do still hope to, even though I don't want to give you like at least my unique perspective on it. All right. So with all that being said, thank you for joining me here in the movie library tonight. Uh, how's my cat? Oh, Warlock, you missed out on the thing earlier. Scaredy is actually taking his meds. It's day 3 of the medication right now. We're still like keeping an eye on him. He's not back to normal yet. Like he's definitely still a bit like on the grog. You're staying upstairs. Like he's come downstairs a couple times, but we're definitely hopefully we're hoping on demand. So we're gonna we're keeping an eye on it. But I am Aaron. This is my movie library. Thank you all. I appreciate that so much. You are the cult of cinema. You guys rock. To my Crimson Cult members, the Patreon supporters there, and the Super Chat supporters, thank you so much. Because of you guys, I was able to get medication for my cat this month. So, thanks. Have a great evening, and I will see you soon.